Hi, Jane here from Poppy Patchwork. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a quilt block called Triangles and Stripes. This block is made using an economy block, strips and half square triangles, and when it's finished it will be 12.5 inches and it will have a finished size of 12 inches. So this is the economy block in the centre of this block. Then there are strips around the side and there are half square triangle blocks in the corners. So when I'm starting a new quilt block, I use my Quilt Block notebook, and this is a book that I've designed myself. Inside it has pages with grids on and a note section. So I draw out my quilt block on the grid section, I label up what fabrics I'm going to use, and then I write in the notes what size to cut those. So if you think that would be useful for you, why don't you pop over to Amazon and buy my Quilt Block notebook. You can use this QR code that will take you there really easily. So for the economy block, you're going to need 2 squares in background fabric, 2 squares in fabric A, and then a final square in background fabric, which is the centerpiece. So we're going to start the economy block by cutting the fabric A pieces in half diagonally. Just pop that out there. So just cut this in half diagonally like so. And that one as well. So these are going to go around the centerpiece like so. So I'm going to identify where the halfway point is along this cut edge, and I'm going to do that just by folding it in half, making a finger press point, then I'll just pop a pin in it like so. I'm going to do that on all 4 pieces, and what you have to be aware of is that cut piece is cut on the bias, so it is really stretchy. So what you want to do is handle it with care and try not to stretch it, otherwise your block will become distorted. And now I'm going to find the halfway point on opposite sides of this square. So again, I'm going to fold it in half and finger press that point there, and this on the other side, and I'll just pop pins in there so that we can see where they are. So with that done, we can now match these pins and points together. So I'm just going to remove that pin and matching those halfway points up, pop some pins in here. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So that is now ready to be taken over to the sewing machine. So now I'm going to sew those pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've sewn those seams and now I'm going to press those seams open. So I'm going to set the seams. And then I'm going to press these open. And now I need to just trim those by cutting these dog ears off on the side. So with that done, I now can attach the other triangles to the other side. So I'm going to fold it in half and finger press it, and then I'm going to pin this together. So that is now ready to be taken to the sewing machine. So once again, I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. So these seams now need to be pressed open. So once again, I'm going to set the seams and then press them open. So when I sewed the economy block on my previous quilt block, I pressed my seams to one side, and this time I've pressed the seams open. And the choice is entirely yours. Pressing the seams open can give a flatter finish. Now that I've done that, I need to cut this down to size. So in order to do that, we need to have a 1/4 inch from this point here to the edge. So I'm going to line the 1/4 inch line on my ruler with that point just here. And then on the ruler, I'm going to make sure that the lines coming down between these 2 points run straight through to keep the block nice and level. So once I've got that in place, I'm just going to trim this side. I'm going to do that on all sides. So I'm lining the 1/4 inch up here, then I'm lining a straight line between those 2 points on that side. Okay, so that's the center done, and now what we need to do is add triangles to the sides. So what we need to do is cut these 2 bigger background squares in half diagonally. And once again, we want to find that halfway point. So with care, I'm folding it in half, finger pressing that, and then I'm going to pop a pin into it. So these triangles are now going to go around the edge of this block. So I'm going to join these two opposite sides. So I take this unit and I place the triangle right sides together, just trying to work out which is right sides, and I'm going to judge where 1/4 of an inch is on this block, this triangle piece, and pop my pin through that, and then going to push my pin through the point on this block. And then I'm going to secure that, and I'm going to do the same on the, just secure the edges now. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So identifying which is the right side, I'm going to pop this pin about 1/4 of an inch down on that folded point. Then I'm going to push the pin through the point on the block. And then I'm going to secure it all with a pin. Now when I take that over to the sewing machine, I am going to sew this way up, and that will let me see exactly where the points are when I sew the seam along the edge. So now I'm going to sew this right sides together, and I'm going to have this facing me. When I get to this point here, I'm going to make sure that I sew through that point or just to the right hand side of the point, so that when I open it up it looks really nice. So I've sewn down those seams, I now need to press those seams open. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the seams, and then I'm going to open them, press them open. Actually, looking at this and the bulk, I'm going to press the seams towards the triangles. So now I need to cut these off. So once again, lining the ruler up against the edge of the square, and I'm just going to cut these dog ears off. Now I'm just going to take a photo of that and show you how nice those points are. So now we need to add the triangles to the other side. So in exactly the same way, I'm going to identify which is the right side. I'm going to place my pin about 1/4 inch down from the edge and push it through the point. So again, identify the right side, place the pin about 1/4 inch down on that fold line and push it through the point, and then secure the pieces right sides together. So I'm going to take that back over to the sewing machine now. So once again, I'm going to sew with the 1/4 inch seam with the seams all facing me so I can see where the point is just here. So I've sewn those seams and now I need to set the seams and press them. And now we need to trim that. So like we did before, we need to line the 1/4 inch of the ruler up against these points here, and then make sure that a line on the ruler is running through these 2 points here, and that should keep it nice and straight. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. So that is the block all trimmed up, the economy block trimmed up. I'm now going to take a picture of it and have a look at those points. So I'm pretty pleased with those points. Good job done. So the next thing we're going to do is join the strip pieces that are going to go on the side of the quilt block. So these pieces are going to go like this. So I'm just going to join these right sides together and sew along the long edge. So I'm going to take those pieces over to the sewing machine now. we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've sewn those together. Now I need to set the seams and press to one side. So just set those seams like this. And then I'm going to press the seams towards the pink fabric. And now we need to make the half square triangles. So on the wrong side of the background fabric, I'm going to draw a diagonal line, or a line across the diagonal, just with a standard pencil. And when I do this, I start in the center and I work my way out. And that just helps stop the dragging of the fabric underneath the ruler. So now that I've done that, I'm going to pin these right sides together with the other fabric. So that's the background fabric and fabric A, and we're going to pin these together. And then when I take them to the sewing machine, I am going to sew a 1/4 inch away from that drawn line on both sides of the drawn line. Okay, so these are now ready to go over to the sewing machine. So I've got my 1/4 inch foot on the sewing machine, and I'm going to line the edge of that with the line that I just drew. So we've gone down one side of the line, and now I need to go down the other side of the line. So I've sewn down both sides of the line, and I now need to cut along that drawn line. Well, I'm first going to take my pins out. Just remove the pins, and now I'm going to line the ruler alongside that drawn line and cut. Okay, so we've got our half square triangles now. I'm going to demonstrate two different ways of trimming these down to the correct size. So I'm going to take one and I'm going to press that seam open. So as usual, the first thing I'm going to do is set the seam, and then I'm going to press it towards the darker fabric. Now this has to be trimmed to 3.5 inches. So with a standard square ruler, I'm going to line the diagonal line of the ruler along with this diagonal seam, and I'm going to make sure that it's just a bit bigger than 3.5 inches. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to cut up the right hand side and down the left hand side. Sorry, I was going to cut up the right hand side and along the top. I'm now going to rotate the unit round, and again I'm going to line that diagonal line up with the sewn line, and this time I'm going to get the 3.5 inch on the ruler running down this side and 3.5 inches running along the bottom. And when that is all lined up, I'm then going to go up the right and along the top. Now that's one way of trimming your half square triangles to 3.5 inches, but I prefer to use the Quilt in a Day triangle square up ruler. Now with this, you leave your half square triangle unpressed and folded, and then replace the 3.5 inch line on the ruler along the stitch line. And when you've got that nicely placed there, you simply trim up one side and down the other. So I'm going to do that with the other 3 half square triangles. So now that I've trimmed those, I am now going to press these. Again, like we did before, we're going to set the seams and then we're going to press towards the darker fabrics. Now with this method of trimming, you are left with dog ears which need to be snipped off. So now we're ready to sew the block together. So we've made all the pieces and now we're going to lay them out in the block design. So I've laid all the pieces out in the block layout, and now I'm going to sew them together, and I'm going to sew them down in columns like this. So I'm going to pin this one here. Now when I sew this one together, I want to sew it this way around so I can see the V, the crossover there. And I'm also going to sew these pieces on the other end. Now I'm ready to take these over to the sewing machine. So these now need to be pressed. So when I press these, I want to make sure that the seams are going in opposite directions. So I'm going to press this seam this direction and this seam this direction, and I'll press both these seams in towards the middle. So the first thing we're going to do is set the seams, and then we're going to press them away from the points. Now I can see that the point, it looks really good at this end, it's a little bit far away at this end, so I might go back and re-sew that seam just to bring it a bit closer. Now these want to be pressed towards the centre. So again, I'm going to set those seams, and I'm going to press this one towards the centre, flip it round and press that towards the centre. And now I'm going to repeat that with this one. So I'm going to set the seams, and then we're going to press that towards the centre, turn that round and press that towards the centre. So before I sew these two together, I'm just going to fix this little problem here by bringing that seam closer to the point. So now that I've pressed those seams, I'm going to make sure that I line the block up in the right way, and I'm going to pin those seams together. And when I pin them together, I'm going to match those, I'm going to butt those seams up together. Because they've been pressed in opposite directions, they will butt together nicely. So that is now ready to be taken to the sewing machine, and when I do, I'm going to flip it over and sew from this side so that I can see where the points are, and so that I don't sew across those points or blunt those points. So I've sewn those seams. I'm now going to set these seams, and I'm going to press the seams away from the points. So there we go. Congratulations! You have finished the Triangles and Stripes quilt block. Here are some quilt options. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block. There is no sashing or borders, but the use of the white background fabric in the block allows the design and fabrics to stand out. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block placed on point. There is no sashing or borders, but you would need to add blocks in background fabric in between the blocks, shown here with the stars, and use setting triangles around the edges, again shown here with the stars. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block but with sashing, cornerstones and borders. And finally, this is an illustration of a sampler quilt using some of the blocks from this quilt block series. The sashing in this quilt is in the white background fabric. The cornerstones and border is in a darker fabric to pop and frame the quilt. Want to learn more? Watch another one of my videos from the quilt block series. Click above to go to my playlist. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. More of these videos will be posted, so please tune in. Thank you for watching and bye for now.